Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Mo studio.
It's a blast!
It's Orlando's own Tom and Dan.
With us in studio again, we're happy to have him. He's going to be at the Orlando Improv tonight and tomorrow.
Yes.
For his bucket list tour.
Yeah, you know a lot about this. I know you're excited to ask some questions about it.
Oh, yeah. We have Steve-O in the studio. What's going on, Steve-O?
Chilling, man. I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, the bucket list tour, tell us about how this tour came about, what it's about, and what people can expect.
Well, the evolution of this comedy career that I've got going, it started with like, okay, I came from Jackass, and now I'm gonna become a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Which was great, and I really dove into it, and I went for it. I've been doing it for 9 years now.
Yeah. I watched your specials. Great.
Well,
Yep.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. The thing was, after I taped that first special, then I got to putting together a new hour.
Yeah.
And as I was performing one night, I thought to myself, "Holy fuck! All these stories that I'm telling, like pretty much all happened on camera. So what if I, tape my next comedy special, but edit into it, so it's a multimedia.
Multimedia, yeah.
So that you see, I'm telling the stories doing stand up, but you cut in the footage of the stories that I'm telling.
Yes.
Man, it was like my fucking head exploded. I totally did it. I loved how it came out.
That's a lot of work, too.
Yeah, and dude, it improved my stand-up so much, because prior to that, I really wasn't very comfortable, watching video of me doing it,
Yeah.
I just I just didn't like it. And once I got into this process of editing the footage into it, it really forced me to sit down and watch it, study it, address things where it's like, I fucking hate when I do that.
Yeah.
And the improvement is stark. So then I knew that when I taped that second comedy special, it's like, okay, well, I love this multimedia deal, but fuck it with all the trips down memory lane, How about if I do, for my new tour, I'll do all new shit. So the stories are there's nothing old.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what to do for this? And I had the ideas. I've been sitting on them forever. I went on to call it my bucket list. But what it is just fucked up jackass shit that was just too absurd to ever actually do. The ideas were more just crazy to say, I would say,
which is crazy for you to say, by the way.
Here's an
that must be
example.
extreme.
Yeah.
Well, as an example, if skydiving ever came up, and it did over the years many times, I always said, "Oh, fuck that, dude. If I ever go skydiving, because the first time you got a tandem dude strapped on your back, I'll be butt fucking naked, furiously jacking off."
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'm gonna fucking blow a load simultaneously as I fall out of an airplane. Or falling through the sky, blowing a load.
That's difficult.
That's never been done.
Never been
But
done.
if anybody can do it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've jumped out of a plane before, and it's hard to concentrate on
I've
blowing
blown
a
a
load.
load or not.
Well, dude, forget about jumping out of an airplane. It's about having a fucking dude strapped on your back.
Yeah.
Ultimate distraction.
There's a lot of layers in it. And, again, I never thought I was actually going to go through with that. It was just a fucking crazy thing to say.
How many takes? Was it multiple times, or did you do it on the first time?
I pulled it off on the first time.
God damn, that's impressive.
Fucking real man. I feel like you win
pulled it
real.
off.
Yeah, I feel like you win though. If you can do that first time, there's nothing you can't do.
Hold on, but you had to get
Put that on a poster.
close in the plane, right? Or you didn't? I mean, there's no way to go limp hard, come while
we strapped down a portable DVD player inside the airplane.
There you go. There you go.
So I was, I did have a little bit of help. Now the thing about this, so I did it. I did it. I fucking filmed it, the whole deal. And as every bit in this show, this new show, of course, it's a stand-up show, but each bit in the show is a different item on the list. And after each bit in the show, I screen it. Like the actual shit going down. So you're going to see me butt naked, blowing a load, falling out of an airplane, jacking off. Like,
well, that's
at the Orlando Improv
Yeah.
tonight.
yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Do you have to warn audiences?
Yeah, there's literally fucking legal waivers posted on the walls around the venue. Like
we should call my mom now and ask her if she'll go with me tonight. Seriously. Mom, I want you to watch Steve-O blow a load out of an airplane.
And curiously, I think that she would love the show.
I know she would.
I think that
she's seen the movies, so she knows what it's about.
Yeah, like I think she would legitimately love it. And
What
it's
drop?
fucking heavy.
What drop zone did you do it at?
15,000. Oh, it was 15,000 feet in the air. I did it in Davis, California.
Oh, okay.
At a place called Skydance Skydiving.
Okay.
I don't want to like pour the whole bit out. Not that I'm like withholding it. I just don't think it makes sense to like just go and do a bunch of stick on an interview. But,
Yeah.
But fuck, dude, it's like that for me is like such beautiful comedy because the putting it together was just fucking hilarious. You know?
I was going to ask you about that because I've been reading about this new tour, and again, it's going to be at the Improv tonight and tomorrow. You should get your tickets. But it's pretty interesting because I followed your career. I kind of emulated my own career after Jackass.
Totally.
I started doing stunts and got on the radio and, ended up here. But it's interesting because throughout your whole career at the beginning, because I remember like back in the days, your original DVDs and Jackass and like CKY videos. I grew up watching those in like high school and college. But back then you actually had to purchase DVDs or you went out and bought this content. Then we saw the the internet and social media, and then the world just started pouring out free content to everybody, like diluting everything.
Right.
Where it's just like you go on the internet and you want to watch crazy shit, you can watch compilation videos 10 hours long of the craziest shit in the world.
Right.
It's all for free and everybody's just pouring it out for free. And I started thinking about like, well, and like your career and people who do this professionally, and like, well, how do you how do you monetize stuff now where everybody's just giving everything out for free?
Right.
And doing this show and having you tell the stories and showing this to an audience that's paying
so
this
much
intimate.
more intimate.
Yeah. I'm like, it's a brilliant way to do this.
Well, thank you, man. And there's for all the places that that you consume this content, like I honestly don't know like where to fucking show blowing a load out of an airplane. I kind of have to personally bring that footage around and show it to you myself. And
Pornhub?
And it helps
X
it like,
videos?
hey, everybody paid to
dude,
watch this.
I was in fucking Netflix like a couple weeks ago, pitching this one series with the guy who created Inside Amy Schumer.
Oh, right.
And dude, I mean, like they're pitching this show, and I'm like, here, I wanted to show you that this one video just to show you that like. Despite the fact that, I'm in my 40s now, I have not mellowed out.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay, good. And so then there's something came up with like, about my girl, my relationship. And I was like, I want to show you this other clip because it represents like the most serious rough patch that we went through in our relationship. It's called skyjacking. And dude, I fucking play the skyjacking clip in the Netflix meeting. I said it's also important to me. I said I'm also really curious to know if this is the kind of thing, can you show this on it? They're like, we probably wouldn't show that. And like, I think that the skyjacking clip like completely fucking torpedoed the.
Really?
No.
They're like,
I don't know.
They're in
I
business
would
suits.
gain so much more respect for them if they did it and they just said a word, or maybe they
Right,
just slide
they-
it in there and don't say a word.
I think they said they yeah, I mean, whatever.
I mean, they
said
have Japanese anime where girls, the fucking tentacles coming out of pussies and shit like that. They got that.
I was under the impression that they had like full ejaculation scene in a movie on there that was called Love, or something, I don't know.
Oh, I remember Antichrist had that scene where the
Yeah.
guy's coming and doesn't he she bashes his balls with a rock?
Oh yeah.
If they can put that in there, they can put this.
I don't know if that's on Netflix.
I mean, whatever the case may be, I am super stoked because, like, shit, I'm fucking. The first thing I say on stage, I'm like, thank you guys for coming out to support me during this difficult time. I'm in a real spot, you know, a real tough spot. I'm Steve-O in my 40s.
Yeah.
Well,
And so, like, you know, I'm running out of time before it gets creepy to watch me do these stunts. I recognize that, and so I'm going fucking all out. You know, I'm going all out, and that's why I love, like, it's so beautiful to do this bucket list thing and, like, really knock out these absurd stunt ideas, like the vasectomy Olympics. You know, I took care of it.
I wanted to ask you about that because you just said, like, I'm running out of time to do this. Do you think about that?
I mean, I do. I'm sensitive to it. Like, I don't know that I'm ever just gonna, like, you know, fucking hang my hat and just stop doing shit. But at the same time, it's like, okay, you get to, you know, there's gonna be a certain point, I feel like, where it's like, okay, it's just not fun to watch that anymore. You know, like if you saw, like, I watched this Buster Keaton documentary. You know, I watched this fucking Laurel and Hardy biopic. You know, like the Three Stooges when they're old. You know, like, that shit's a bummer.
Yeah.
You know, like, Father Time's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I see myself evolving in a certain way, and you know, I kind of like. You know, and thank God for sobriety sort of introduced me to the idea of having separation between me and, like, you know, this persona, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so I'll figure it out. I'll be okay. But with respect to, like, really pushing the boundaries and doing crazy jackass stunts, I mean, man, I could probably do another. I could probably do a whole other fucking show for after this bucket list tour. But yeah, I'm running out of time.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, do you hear the NFL players talk about when they get older, like usually when they're 40s or whatever, they're like, oh, it's hard to get out of bed and stuff, and like you see some of these guys that barely
a lot of wear
walk
and tear, man,
and stuff, and then
I don't even think that the wear and tear is as nearly as much of an issue as just the career. It's a young man's deal.
Yeah.
You know, it's a young man's deal. So, like. And even worse than the NFL people is, like, the Olympic athletes. You know, they say that the most traumatic thing is it's way worse to win than to not win. To be an Olympic hopeful that never made it, like, then you're still, like, pushing for something. But if you win that fucking medal, it's like they hang the end of your life around your neck. You know, when they put that medal around your neck, it's just like, boom. All downhill from here.
There's a ton of depression.
Like,
a ton of those athletes have depression issues,
big time.
man.
I knew one of them.
There's actually one that lives around here who hit silver. She's a sprint runner. Yeah. And she got silver over here, and she talks about this. She goes around the schools talking about how it, like, really fucked her up.
Well, yeah, you spend your whole...
Yeah. Like, she kicked major ass, and you're put on this pedestal, and you're, like, glorified, and then you come back to real life, and you're just in your apartment, and you're, you know, and, like, what do you do? What do you do now?
You also spend your whole life, and your whole identity has been to train for this moment, and then you achieved it. And then
at 100%.
And then what's after that? I mean, so with your career, Steve, and I don't mean to, like, take a walk down memory lane, but
it's all good. I have no problems with it.
Yeah, no, I knew you were coming in, so I went back and listened to your book. Which I should, you know, all of our listeners, they should go back and get an Audible if you're not a reader like I am, and it's really good, and it kind of just tells your whole story. And I went back and I'm still astounded by the early years and how much drive you had, even in the face of, like, everybody, the world, anybody, your friends and family telling you, like, what are you doing?
Well, the story you told me,
the story you never told me,
I never knew. Tom was telling me a story about you being a cruise ship clown.
I was a clown on Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines.
There's more to it, though, because the other clowns did not like you, or
yeah, it was a thing, and you know, here we were working on cruise ships, and I had my own skill set of, you know, things that I would do to, like, you know, entertain the passengers on the ship. You know, I would go around, I'd, like, kind of like I was partying, getting loaded, the whole thing. Now, like, the clowns that I was working with I just didn't think they were rad. You know, I didn't think
You
they
clowns
were rad.
aren't
Like,
rad.
I just didn't. I just didn't. I
clowns.
just didn't get what they were trying to do, and that like when they were trying to like write ideas, I was like, yeah, that sucks. You know, I didn't think they had like cool skills. Like I didn't really like care about what they wanted to
Royal
do.
Caribbean shit clowns. Fuck
And
those
so
clowns.
I was I didn't respect them, and you know, like I just kind of did my own thing, and I figured that I'd be fine because like the passengers, the important people, you know, the people that we were trying to entertain, they liked me.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck these other clowns, you know, and what happened was a clown mutiny. They went behind my back and to the cruise ship brass, and they said if Steve-O comes back for another contract, we all quit.
So fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I know.
Clown mutiny.
And it honestly, like, even though like I just have this kind of built-in like sort of feeling about it, like this you know, this resentment that's probably never gonna go away, but like it makes no sense for me to be resentful about that, because had they not done that, then I would have been fucking floating in the middle of the ocean on a cruise ship juggling oranges instead of shooting for the Jackass pilot.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you.
Like
because-
like those fucking clowns saved me from missing the most crucial thing.
Yeah, we got saved by
That-
clowns too. No, we did. We had to leave what we were doing in radio to do this. But
Yeah.
we didn't choose to do that. So in a weird
forced us
way,
out, yeah.
that's why he told me the story. He goes, dude, you got to hear this fucking story. It sounds exactly like what happened to us. It forced us out of the nest. We had to do it. And then once we
Right.
did it, we're like, oh, this is where we're supposed to be.
Yeah,
You know, like
and-
you were supposed to do all that Jackass stuff.
I think that my buddy Edge lives in Orlando. I got to reach out to him. He was my boss clown, not one of the ones that
Not a
that-
mutiner.
n-
or-
not
yeah,
not a
not a
mutineer or
bad
whatever.
shit clown.
Yeah. And he was like, he was like, hey, we got to talk, you know. And I'm gonna tell you something that you can't let on, that that you know, because if it comes out that I told you this, then I can lose my job. But these other fucking clowns went behind your back and they got you fired. You said like you're gonna finish out your contract, and then you're gonna find out that you're not coming back for another contract, and they. You know, so this is the deal, and he says, like, I can't just not tell you because you need to get on the phone with your skateboard buddies and try and come up with another plan. you
Yeah.
know? And I had to work out the rest of my contract knowing that they did that and not letting on that I knew. And
That's so similar to
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
to us. My God.
we were training for the launch of the world's largest cruise ship. You know, there's a
Okay.
whole program.
Yeah.
Like we were training for this new thing that was, and so I was learning all these routines, all these fucking like scripts, all this fucking shit that I knew I was never gonna perform.
yeah. Hey,
And I just show up and fucking rehearse and train to learn shit that I was never gonna fucking do ever. And it was like, and I just did it. And I was hustling on the emails and the like setting shit up, and I set up a shoot that unknowingly was for the pilot for Jackass.
Yes.
I had no idea that I was doing that. I thought I was trying to get a picture in a skateboard magazine, and with urgency because I knew I lost that job, I set it all up, and that was the Jackass pilot.
And yeah, and it ended up being the how you met Jeff Tremaine and like.
Well, I had met Jeff Tremaine prior to that,
Okay.
making Big Brother escape videos.
Right.
But they footage you filmed after
I
you got
had
off.
I had a relationship with those guys already, but it was when I flew myself out to go put together this crazy stunt, you know, which ended up being for the pilot, where I was walking on stilts and I had a big, like I'm 10 feet tall on stilts, set my whole fucking stilt costume on fire, had a unicyclist like ride a unicycle through my stilts, like my flaming stilt costume. At the same time, a skateboarder jumps off of the roof of a fucking house over my head while I'm walking stilts. The skateboarder flies over my head through a fireball that I'm blowing out of my mouth. While I'm on fire with the unicyclist riding through, those dudes ride away, and then I crack open a beer and I'm pounding it and tip myself over 10 feet, 10 feet tall, and I fucking come slamming down on the concrete.
Yep, yeah.
And then Knoxville puts me out with a fire extinguisher. And it was like, I found the fucking unicyclist. This was in 1999. And I found the unicyclist. I found the skateboard. I put it all together.
Yeah,
I flew out there, and they were like, okay, Like it was a monumental effort on my part, and they were like, "That's what we're looking for."
That's what I wanted to talk
You
about
know?
because, I think the public perception of like people that don't know you
Yeah, they're just a fucking maniac doesn't give.
or haven't read your book, and what I
Right.
got out of your book mostly is how much work and drive you had, and never wanting to quit, and like you say this, a lot of your success was just based on people like, hey, this guy wants it, this guy's hungry, this guy's willing to put in the work, and you did, and you were willing to give up everything, and I think it gave me, and I think it gave a lot of people motivation of showing like, hey, if you don't stop and keep working, keep hustling, and you have this goal that you can achieve it, because man, in the face of like basically everybody in the world saying like, hey, this is not gonna work.
Right.
It worked, and you were
Right.
like, I'm gonna be famous, and I'm gonna and I'm gonna not be lazy about it. I'm gonna put in the work, and
I
it's really
appreciate that a lot,
motivational,
man.
you know.
I appreciate that a lot, and yeah, I feel strongly about just sort of living that way, you know. And it's a bummer when you know, some of the guys that were on Jackass, you know, when like the movies we made were 4 years apart, you know, and for those in between 4 years, I was always hustling my fucking ass off, you know. I mean, granted, I was going down in the entirely wrong direction for a lot of that time, but I was hustling. You know, and whatever it is, it's just like at this point, you know, like the work has really paid off to where like I have you know, the ability to work. I have a career, and I evolve, you know. So as I do get older, like shit just changes, and I figure out what I'm gonna do next, and I just keep hustling.
And if you look back at your entire career, I think it shows that. I mean, even and not to compare you with any, you know, your former co-stars or whatever, but it's like, hey, like Steve-O's always willing to reinvent himself, figure out a way to keep doing what he's doing, keep being an entertainer, no matter, you know, and then
it's been a
figuring out how to do
relatively
that.
consistent. I mean,
Yeah, I
it
mean-
probably didn't feel like that, but to us as viewers, it seems like relatively consistent, even through rough patches, even through addiction, whatever you want to call it. It seems like you kind of kept it like the same level of intensity, or at least what do you call that, chutzpah, you know, or drive?
Yeah, it's the drive you have, man.
I've never stopped hustling.
Yeah.
And you know, recently it's pretty like it's a grind, man. This whole like, you know, consistently putting shit online, you know, on YouTube and stuff.
Hard, yeah.
But I got a contract with this company, Full Screen, and like I'm just like, all right, fucking, it's on. And every week, man, like I'm putting up like.
Well, Sam and I watched. Sam, what were we watching yesterday? It was Steve-O and Dana White.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In a
Talking
car,
about the
and you had
beaver fight.
they had,
No,
dude,
yeah,
and their
yeah.
rig. Just if I can geek out on rigs for a second, they got the SM7Bs, but they have these fucking suction mounts that stick on windows.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I got to get that shit,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
looks so cool. And you're just driving around with Dana White.
It looks cool until the airbag goes off.
Yeah,
blows
yeah,
into
exactly.
you.
Blows a mic
Yeah.
straight down your throat.
Oh yeah, you're dead with that. Now every time I have a guest come in my podcast van, I say, you know, like, yeah, like you know, we're gonna do great until the airbags go off.
Yeah,
lose your vision.
Starts every conversation like on a really awkward note.
Where are we at on the fight now?
Yeah,
What-
Well, yeah, to give anybody some background on this, I saw Justin Bieber challenge Tom Cruise to a octagon MMA fight.
Yeah.
And I have a whiteboard in my edit bay of like ideas for videos and stuff, you know, and like people to get in the van and what to do with them. And I wanted to, you know, I have a relationship with Dana White.
Yeah.
And
Where did that start?
I mean, I met him just like, you know, on random shit over the years. But like he follows me on Instagram, and I'm a big fan of the UFC now. So like I actually hit him up for tickets at one point.
Nice.
He put me like right fucking nose up against the octagon cage in the front row.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's just so rad. And so like I had it in my mind that I wanted to drive out to Vegas with my new podcast van and interview Dana White. And my number one question was, how has there not been celebrity MMA. I mean, we've had celebrity boxing, and you've got like the Ultimate Fighter, you've got the Contender Series. Like, isn't it a no-brainer to have like MMA with the stars? You know, like a reality show. And I had that question written down before the Justin Bieber shit, and I already knew that if I was gonna ask Dana White about celebrity MMA, that I could not do so without myself telling him who I would want to fight.
Okay,
You gotta have a loaded answer. Sure.
Who would I want to fight? And
Prepare.
so I thought about this ahead of time, and it just seemed funny to me. Like, I want to fight Bud Bundy.
David Faustino, he lives around here. You might be able to fight him this weekend.
Not that I have any beef with him.
Come to the Improv.
Yeah, just think it's funny.
But it just seems like a funny thing.
David, come to the Improv. Steve will beat your ass.
And I realized that Bud Bundy, Dave Faustino, like probably would absolutely submit me in like 30 seconds, like because Al Bundy. You know, Ed O'Neill.
Yeah.
He's like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black
Yeah.
belt.
I did not know that.
That guy's no joke.
Yeah, he's been
like-
doing jiu-jitsu for years.
Jiu-jitsu black
What?
belt guy.
I want to say for like an obscene 20 years,
yeah.
like 30 years. Like
Right.
it's an obscene amount of time that
And
he's done.
so
it.
there's just too much proximity between Bud Bundy and Al Bundy.
That's good.
He picked up some
that
choke
makes,
move, yeah.
Totally makes sense to me.
Right, and then I thought, you know, to like
Totally makes
to
sense.
be like, oh, it's just kind of funny. But then as I realized, like, okay,
He picked up something, you know it.
He's only 5'3", though.
Oh.
You got reach
right.
on him.
I know, but Cormier is a lot shorter than Stipe. But then now, so it just worked out like serendipitously because, you know, then Justin Bieber's calling out Tom Cruise, and I'm like, oh my God, fuck, is this gonna ruin my thing? Like, I wanted to be like the one that was on the celebrity MMA thing. And then randomly, Dana White's assistant hit me up and said, hey, Dana wants to invite you to the Contender Series in Vegas, like, you know, tomorrow or whatever And I was like, fuck, yeah, can I you know, get him on camera to just ask him a couple questions? She was like, sure, he's totally down.
That's
so
awesome.
then I'd go out there, and I didn't even put it together yet. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Like, I want to fight Justin Bieber. So that's why I got Dana White in the van, and I said, I said Tom Cruise is afraid of Justin Bieber, but I'm not. And so I'm calling him out and put on the fight. Dana White wanted nothing to do with that. I was like, dude, it's an exciting fight, man, because Justin Bieber can really throw a punch, and I can really take one.
I'm not afraid of getting choked out. I've literally been choked out.
I've
so
made a
long.
career
I
of
will
it.
go to sleep.
Well,
He's like, that's not how it works. He said all this. I didn't even really, because I keep the videos pretty short and stuff so that, like, they don't get boring. But, like, Dana White was giving me every reason why it should not happen. He's like, I don't know what commission would accept this fight. You'd probably have to fight in Mississippi or something.
yeah. You know what? Speaking of, like, I found it interesting, like, even, you know, going back and listening to your book, that at, you know, your early years, even after the first season of Jackass, like, you never had a manager. You know, you didn't. The amount of money you talk about in the book you made would shock people. You're like, oh my God.
The whole first season was less than $1,500.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
And then you were doing
insane.
appearances at bars and and spring break destinations for like a couple $100
like
bucks.
Club La Vila and
I
places
remember-
like that.
Club La Vila, they banned me for life.
yeah.
man.
Really?
You did a New Year's Eve party. I found this
Some
interesting.
shit goes down there. How do you get banned from Club La Vila?
know.
That place is filthy, right?
I forget what it was, but I earned it.
but like there was like I'm sure there was a bunch of people earlier on when you were young in your 20s, and there was a bunch of people probably taking advantage of you all the time. And you just going back to the drive, you're like, fuck it, I'll do it. And then when you'd show up at these clubs and they just wanted your appearance because you were famous on MTV, and you're like, no, there's a stage. I'm gonna do.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna
you
do. I'm
were
gonna
very
work.
much like that. Did you do that because of Steve? No, I'm being dead serious. I'm not making jokes. This guy has the same that hustle mentality. In fact, the only reason you survived in radio is because you did a lot of the same things that Steve-O would do. You'd be like, "Oh, bar gig, I'll do it. What do you want? $300? I'm there."
Yeah,
I remember I remember the guy. He was a rave promoter, and he got my number through Wee Man somehow. He says, I want to invite you to this party I'm doing. He's like, I'll get you in the night of the party. I'll get you out the next morning. You won't even be gone 24 hours. I'll pay you $700 just to show up at a party.
Yeah.
And I was like, $700?
Yeah.
Don't just give me $700. I will chew and swallow glass. I will light myself on fire. I will.
That's an insane amount of money for me. Yeah.
I know. And then he gets out there and I remember it was January 25th. It was the party, and so like then I did all these. I gave Bam his first hit of ecstasy that night. Like I'm
bucket
like,
list.
I humped this chick underneath the rave dude's kitchen table. Like I'm like laying there on his kitchen floor underneath the table. Like, and he's like, "Hey, dude, your flight departs in an hour. Do you even want to try?" And I was like, I get back. So I wake up and I'm like in this dude's place, and he's like, "When do you got to get back to Florida?" Because I was down in West Palm. And I was like, oh, I don't know, dude. I'm kind of into this chick at home. Like, I really would like to be home by Valentine's Day.
And it was like January, right?
It was like January 25th.
Consummate romantic, right?
Yeah. I know. And it was just, so I ended up like, now we walked over to get dinner, and this was in Cleveland. And we walked over this bridge, and the looking below the river, the Cleveland River, was like partially frozen. Where some it was frozen, but some bits were like dry, like some bits were like wet and like thin. You could see it was like patchy.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, I'm not leaving Cleveland until I find a fucking pair of ice skates and skate on that river until I fall through the ice. I'll call it extreme ice skating.
Which was in your first DVD.
Yeah. And so. And I did it twice. I wasn't happy with the footage the first time. And so it was like a week, a week that I spent in Cleveland until I got that bit the way I wanted it. Especially because I thought I would be shooting it for Jackass. They said they couldn't show it. And I was like, oh, great, There's so much shit they wouldn't show, so I put my own DVDs out.
Because the standards and practices, which eventually, by like season 3, there was so much pressure on
and now
everybody.
I don't know where. Now it feels like they can show whatever the fuck they want.
Well, the internet has opened up to where it's literally you could find whatever you want at any time, unlimited content. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think that it's like when I'm on Ridiculousness, like when they had me on there, and they're like, okay, view these clips that you can be thinking of, like, you know
what you're gonna say,
what you're gonna react to, and I'm watching these clips and I'm thinking, how the fuck are you allowed to show this on TV? Like, it was really mind-boggling to me because, like, and I guess there's something about, like, it's already happened and they're not, like, I don't know.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because
like, we didn't do it, but we'll show it.
They're acquiring it, but then again, just by the virtue of showing it, like, I just don't understand.
Well, everything has changed, and the same. Like, believe me, back when we started doing podcasts, and they freaked out with Clear Channel. Now that's iHeart, they freaked out that we were cursing and doing a podcast on our own and releasing on the internet. That was the problem. They're like, you can't curse. What if McDonald's hears you curse? Like, we're like, what? And then
we're like, it's a separate broadcast. We're doing this in our off time.
And then
we're doing this in my house.
Of course, nowadays they're telling everybody, go out there, do an uncensored podcast, curse. Like, it's just big corporations. It's fucking. It's bad in one 10 years ago. Now it's like, anything goes.
What's the craziest one you've ever had to shelf? That like you were like it bummed you out that you were like you worked so hard like a passion stunt.
Dude, I'm sitting on one right now that.
Well, you don't have to blow it, but I mean,
no, it's fine. And I'll probably go ahead and post it anyway. But I used to do this bit in my stand-up, telling stories about the famous people I did cocaine with.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, celebrity cocaine stories. And my last comedy special, the agents were like, let's leave that out, And I'm like, well. And I did, and then I thought, well, fuck, this is a great bit. So I my last stop, a couple of stops ago, I dusted off the bit, recorded it with a bunch of cameras, put together this video, And now it's like, well, do I post it or not? You know, there's nothing like particularly, you know,
defaming,
shocking or you know, like it's a lot. These stories are old as 12 to 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and people who have known, like the people are Paris Hilton and Kid Rock, Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah. People
there's-
that
yeah.
people respect.
You wouldn't be like, and I don't even talk about actually doing cocaine with Paris Hilton. I just say that, like, you know, she would invite me to her parties sometimes, and like, there was always a blizzard going on somewhere.
Well, I was gonna ask you about, like, because even like there's two things I wanted to talk to you about. One is in your book you talked about when you went and hung out with Shaq. You filmed a lot in Florida for the first couple seasons
Yeah,
of
well,
Jackass.
every incarnation of Jackass we shot in Florida.
Yeah.
without fail.
So there's a lot of stuff in Florida and
I
Orlando
remember when
and
they
stuff.
right up here
Yeah.
they came to.
We would stay at the Courtyard Marriott at UCF.
Yeah.
And
I
then you
remember
guys came to the
Nights-
Roxy. There was a
bar.
Yeah, we had Busey
The
in
fight
here.
night,
Mike
remember?
Busey.
Mike Busey, yeah, he's the best.
Yeah,
he was
on-
in here a couple days ago
on Wednesday, and he was talking about the back in the day, the old party stories of you partying at the Sausage Castle and stuff. But I found something funny. Like you talked about how you were hanging out with Shaq. He was filming a music video that never came out, but a lot of it was on Jackass. But then he brought you into like a meeting, and then sat you down and wanted you to sign a contract. This is it's like that.
It was like, yeah, he makes 80. He gets 80% of everything I make, or something
Yeah.
absurd shit.
For the rest of your life, like he's like, hey, sign
That's
this
some
contract.
Suge Knight shit, right?
Yeah, it was weird.
100%.
That shit, I mean, like I met him a couple times. He's always been super nice to me, but that sounds like some fucking wicked, crazy, diabolical shit.
It was, yeah.
Was he just a fan and he wanted to own a human or something?
It was probably his, like, there's people around him that were probably like, oh, you need to find talent and get him to
Sure.
sign contracts that are bad for the
That's
80%.
worse than a 360 deal.
But,
my
Right.
God.
but you said even at that point, you knew, like, hey, I'm not signing this shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Even at that point, I knew that was bullshit.
yeah. But I'm sure, like, you.
It was cool to go meet him, though.
Yeah.
You know, like, to meet him, like, in his office, like, special, like.
Well, I'm sure that like the Paris Hilton and like I'm sure you partied with a lot of celebrities because you came up in a time where it was like a little bit pre-internet, but the internet was out, and then it's like I don't think there's going to be
back
someone as
then-
famous as you nowadays because everything's so segmented and everybody knows Steve-O. Like.
Right,
you
but
know.
back then it was like, it wasn't like TMZ, it was more Page 6, and there was only like, you know, a handful of stories on Page 6. It was like a pretty big deal to get on Page 6. Like, you could get away with getting pretty loaded and doing blow.
Mm-hmm.
And you know.
Did you get invited to a lot of parties that you were like, holy shit, there's celebrities here, like, and everybody knows me, and were you ever shocked by a celebrity that knew who you were?
Yeah, like in New York, I remember Robin Williams coming up and like sheepishly, humbly asking if I would take a photo with like his daughter or granddaughter or some weird.
Yeah.
That's
And I was
crazy.
just like, whoa, like.
Yeah, that's insane. Like Robin Williams is asking
Right, I
you.
mean,
Yeah.
it was. But yeah, all of that stuff has always been fascinating and cool. You know, like I have no qualms about being like, fuck, man, that's cool. That's like a famous person right there. Like I get a kick out of all of it.
Do you going back to like the Olympians that win the gold medal, and then you're like, what's after this? When you said that, it made me think of like your whole life reading your book and stuff. You want to be famous, and then you achieved like a pretty much
Globally,
global fame on a level that's as high as anybody else. Did you ever have a realization like, oh shit, my whole life has been this goal, and now I hit it, and what's next?
Dude, Jackass #2. I did not see that we could ever do anything as crazy or as good. Like Jackass #2, I think was really like the peak. You know, like Jackass #1, like we were kind of figuring it out. Like Jackass 2, like that was we hit our stride. And that movie, I just think was just so by far like the best shit that we did.
Yeah.
And I recognized that at the time, thinking nothing we ever do after this is gonna be this big or this good, and like so it's all downhill from here. And I kind of like fell apart. And I mean, Jackass 3D made more money, but I don't think it was as good as number 2.
Did you think to yourself, I
went into like a crazy thing, you know, and that was where I really spiraled out of control. And I mean, and that was creeping up on me anyway with the drugs and alcohol, so I was gonna have to get sober either way. I just have a healthier outlook on everything now because it's like, all right, there's that, but that's not me. You know, I gotta separate myself from all of that.
Yeah, and congratulations on the over 10 years of sobriety and everything you've done.
That's huge.
Do you see yourself eventually getting to the point where you're mentally ready to get out of the limelight? And in the future, like, do you ever look at that, or is it like, hey, I'm just gonna keep doing until I don't want to do it anymore?
As long as I can get away with. Earning a living, just being a fucking asshole, or an idiot, or whatever you want to, as long as I can keep getting away with what I'm doing, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know, if it's like really winding down and I gotta, find other shit to do, I'll do that too.
Will you be happy? Like, I know we've talked last time you were in here, talked about the animal sanctuary and like, like getting, do you see yourself like
for sure
animal sanctuary? Just
we're all about the animal sanctuary.
Yeah, and then just living a life where you're like, hey, I'll be content with hanging out with animals.
Yeah, my girl and I are like super into that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And we just finished fencing in our backyard so we can bring in goats and chickens and.
Yeah.
That's a pretty fantastic way to end, like or to not end, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like just to relax. It's like I did all this crazy shit and now I'm just gonna spend some time with my animals, like that's dope. That's a great ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel concerned that like I could really get stir crazy and like, I do very well keeping myself like 100 miles an hour at fucking like just full ballistic hustle all the time.
Yeah.
And the idea of like just not doing stuff is like legitimately scary.
Yeah.
But put me in that position and, whether it's entertaining people, whether it's, being Steve-O, whether it's something else, I'm going to find shit to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not concerned about that.
Well, Steve-O,
it's always an honor and a pleasure, man.
Hey, likewise,
thank you for coming in. And then we got the puppy this time.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful dog. And
she's sleeping. I know you want to go to sleep. But
I am so going back.
We're going to let you do that. You got a show tonight, a show tomorrow. Please go check him out. But the amount of people that have begged me for free tickets, I think you'll have no problem. And I've told them all to buy them.
Yep. And if you want to see Steve-O jump out of an airplane.
This show is not going to waste your fucking time.
TheImprovorlando.com, easiest way to get tickets. And thank you, man.
Yeah, and I still do free meet and greet with everybody after every show.
That's awesome.
So every ticket's as good as Backstage Pass.
There
Cool.
you go.
Well, thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, man, thank you for having me,
We'll
guys.
see you next time.